I know it has been a minute since I've made a video, but I decided to dive right in. Again, your benchmark test is coming up. So what I did, this is taken from your homework this week, and I made separate questions very similar to your homework. So this will help you answer your homework. So basically, the first question says which decimal is equivalent to 8/100ths. Now, this is the standard 4.NF.5. So you can also YouTube this as well and watch videos and songs about 4. If you type in exactly 4.NF.5, this standard is 4.NBT.1, and this is 4.OA.1. So just in case you say, hey, Ms. King, I still am having some trouble, you can type in that standard exactly with that 4.NF. whatever or 4.NBT, and it will show up. Now, to answer this question, it says which decimal is equivalent to 8/100ths. So there's two strategies. The first way, you could say if there's a single digit numerator with the tenths, hundredths, and thousands, you can just say 1 less 0. So here I see 2 zeros, so that means that I would need to, always drop your number, dab your decimal, but in this case the decimal could jump. But so in this case the decimal is going to be to the left because our number is going to be small. So if it's small, because you're dividing, you shift it over to the left and make that left go closer to the right. But if you want to make it bigger, the 8 will shift back and your decimal will be to the right. But we're not making it bigger, we're actually making it smaller because we are dividing by 100. So there's only 1 0 in between. And if you think about it, this is the tenths place and that is the hundredths place. So this is still 8/100ths. Or the other way you could do this is drop your 8, dab your decimal. I see 2 zeros, that means I do 2 jumps. So if you're doing the jumps, you just go by however many zeros you see. But if you want to just say 1 less 0, you go by that. So here I see the decimal is wrong because it is to the right. The decimal should be to the left. This also has a decimal to the right of the 8. It needs to be to the left of the 8. Now here, these both have the decimal to the left of the 8. But in this case, I got 2 zeros, which means I would need 1 less in front of it. Or if you did your jumps, you can see it would be a 0 in front of that 8. This is in the tenths place. So this is right here equal to 8/10ths. And we don't need 8/10ths. We need exactly 8/100ths. And this is in the hundredths place. Now, the next question, it says, in which number does the value of the digit 4 represents 10 times the value of the digit 4 and 40? Here's your strategy. If it's telling you to multiply by 10, all you do is say 40 times 10, which 4 times 1 is 4, and I stick my 2 zeros at the end. On the flip side, if it gave me, instead of 40, if it said 400, all I would do is still multiply that 10 times greater, and I'll stick 400 and multiply that by 10. And again, all you're going to have is just an extra 0, because you can say anything times 1 is the same number, but you just stick that extra 0 at the end. But in this case, with it being 40, all you do and that's our answer. This one is very easy. Which statement represents the equation 6 times 8 equals 48? Well, 8 says 8 times as many as 48 is 60. So this is saying, remember, is means equal to, and times as many means to multiply. Well, this is saying 8 times 48 is 6, which is wrong. 8 times as many as 6 is 48. And this is exactly what we need. But let's see why this is wrong. This is saying that 8, and again, is equal to 48 times 6, which is also wrong. And this is saying that 8 is equal to 6 times 48, which is also still wrong. So B is our only answer. For question 4, I changed the answer choice, not the answer choice, the question. So I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Always count it first to get your total, which is 10. And I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shaded. So that is 5/10. If I were to shrink it or use my dump your brain, I can scroll this back to 1/2. But if you don't have a dump your brain, think about what they both have in common. We can use 5 for both. So we'll use 5/5 because we have to use a whole fraction. And so 5 divided by 5 is 1. 10 divided by 5 is 2. So, which the answer is actually not on here. So that means my answer is 1/2. Or since they got circles, 1/2. So, let's see here. Question 5 says a mechanic repairs 56 cars. The mechanic repairs 7 times as many cars as trucks. How many trucks does he have? So he has 7 times as many cars as trucks. That means he has more cars, but yet they're asking about trucks. So if we look at cars, that answer is going to be bigger. Trucks are going to be smaller. So that means that to get the answer we need, they already told us we got 56 and 7. So in order to get smaller, that means we're going to have to do the inverse operation. And the opposite of times is going to be divide. Remember, if the answer is bigger, you multiply. But if it's smaller, you divide. So in this case, we're going to divide by 7, and the answer is going to be 8. Now, for your question, the number is different. I just put 56, so it won't be the same. Now, for this question, how many times greater is the value of the digit 6 in 6,000 than the value of the digit 6 in 600? So step 1, again, stack your value, because I see we're comparing values. And they want to know how many times greater. So you stack your bigger value on top, smaller value on the bottom, and you stack it according to place value. So what I mean by that, you still got your ones, your tens, your hundreds, and in this case, thousands. And you want to do your jump between little brother to big brother. Every jump is equal to a 0. So I did 1, and it's a lot like King Henry. And I did 1 0, so that means it is 10 times greater. You can never have anything other than a 1. So saying 60 times and 6,000, that's wrong. Also, I didn't do 3 jumps, so that's wrong. I only did 1, and I should only have 1 0. Now for this question, this is dealing with a pattern. Let me also write the standard. I see a pattern here because they had 1, then they had 5, then they had 2, then they had 10, then they had 3. So I can see it's multiplying by 5. So where it says subtract and divide, my answer is continuously getting bigger and bigger because it went from 5 to 10 to 15. So I know I'm not subtracting or dividing. The next thing, as you can see, where the pattern here is multiplying by 5. But let's read the whole question. It says, which is the correct way to find the number of minutes it will take the cyclist to ride 8 miles? So, A says add by 5. Now, 2 plus 5 is not 10. If we're going from this side to that, our in and our out. 1 plus 5 is also 6. So, again, we're not adding 5. We're only multiplying by 5. And the answer would be 40. Now for this question, MD.3, that's dealing with area, or you could say perimeter. It just depends on what they asked you. So we already know area is equal to length times width for a square, and a rectangle. And when you get to the 5th grade and 6th grade, that's where you start finding all kinds of formulas for the different areas, like for trapezoid or triangle, stuff like that. And perimeter, we already know is P equals 2L plus 2W. Now if it's a square, it's just going to be P equals 4S. Or you can say side 1 plus side 2 plus side 3 plus side 4 for all of them. Now it says River Edge Park has a fenced-in rectangular field for dogs. The area, so now we know what formula we're doing, of the bark zone is 234. The width of the bark zone is 6 meters. So if you think about this, we have to, they said, what is the length? So we have to divide, because we have our area, which is 234, which is equal to your length. We don't know, so we'll leave it as length times your width, which is 6. We have to do the inverse operation, which means we got to divide by 6. So let's do our long division. Here we can go ahead and do 234. And then think about it. How many times? I can't fit 6 into 2 at all, but I can make it fit in 23. So I would say, how many times can fit 6 get close to 23? And if you think about your multiples of 6, 6. So let's say that, and I could have kept going, but I don't think I'll need to for this. 6 can't, I can use 24, but the thing about 24 is too big because it's bigger than 23, so we can't use that. But I can use 6, I can use that 3 times. So if I say how many times, how many is that? That's 1, 2, 3 times it can fit, which means that's going to be 18. And I subtract. 13 minus 8 is 5. And so the next step, because we have to divide, multiply, and subtract, bring it on down, bring it on back. The next step, this 4, I bring it down. And 6 can actually make 54. 6 can make 54 9 times. And so I have no remainder. My answer, my length, is equal to 39. So for this strategy, all you got to do is just divide. When you have something missing, and your test will do that, they love to make something missing because they know you can easily multiply 39 times 6 and get your answer. But so in this case, we knew our width was 6 and we didn't know the length. We knew the area was 234. You have to do long division, or you can say area model division, and I'll show you how you can use area model division. Area model division helps when you break the number up into something that could work, especially if you know there's not going to be a remainder. And I know it's not going to be a remainder because in order for a number to be divisible by 6, it has to be divisible by 2. And the last digit is a 4, so yes. And it also has to be divisible by 3, which means the sum of the digits could be divided by 3. 2 plus 3 would be 5, plus 4 would be 9. And 9 can be divided by 3. So I'm going to break this up in a way that I can make it work. I know out of 234, 180 can definitely work because 6 can make 18. You're just sticking a 0 at the end. So if I were to break that up, I can break it up so I can see if I were to subtract 180 out of it, which means I go ahead and I subtracted out of what the total was. I had 54 left, which means the bottom half, the leftover half, will be 54. And I'll say, how many times could 6 fit into 180? Well, 6 times 3 is 18, and I just stick an extra 0 at the end. And 6 could actually fit into 54 9 times. And so the last step of any area model is to add it up And we're not adding the areas up because we're not multiplying. We're actually going to add the side. And 30 plus 9 is equal to 39. So whichever way is easier, breaking it up like this, like taking chunks out to make 6 fit in it easier, you can do that. Also, if I were to break it up a different way, if you say, okay, that's a bit too hard, can 6 fit into 120? And yes, I would have to subtract 120 out. And so then I would break up 114, 120, and out of 114, you can make that fit. Or I could say, well, I can pull out 60 out of that. So whatever you want to pull and fit in that box, you're going to have to see what's left over and stick it in there. So, and again, I ended up getting 6 times 2 is 12, stick a 0 at the end, 6 times 10 is 60, and then you have 9. And again, 20 plus 10 plus 9 is still going to be 39. So it, like I said, area model division can work. It might even be easier, or the standard algorithm, long division, divide, multiply, and subtract. All right. This says which comparison is not correct. So if I look at this, they're saying 600, because these are the same, so I don't need these. But they're saying 688 is bigger than 72. That's wrong, right? So we know Q is wrong. They're saying these numbers are equal. They're the exact same, so this is true. Now I see the 3s, that's the same. They're saying 7 is bigger than 6. That's absolutely true. Again, if it's the same, we don't need to look at it. But I see this has a 7, that has a 9. The 9 is actually bigger, so this is wrong. And these are not equal, so that is also wrong. So if I were to look at which are wrong, for the sake of this question, obviously Q is wrong and T and U are wrong. Now this one's a bit tricky. They want you to multiply a whole number with a fraction. A family uses 6/8 jar pasta sauce to make a spaghetti dinner, as shown. How many jars of pasta sauce should the family buy to be sure there's enough to make the spaghetti 7 times? So obviously here, when I see a whole number and a fraction, they're not going to shake hands. They're going to multiply with each other. Remember, rewrite your whole number with a denominator of 1, and then you just multiply straight across. Numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. 7 times 6 is 42, and 1 times 8 is 8. Now you would have to do long division. And out of long division, I would say 8. Like if you were to turn into a mixed number, right? We're making a mixed number. So our denominator is definitely going to stay the same. 8 can fit into 42 5 times, because 8 times 5 is 40. And I ended up having a remainder of 2. Now your remainder is always your numerator, and that's your whole number. So the answer is 5 2/8. So if I had 4, would that be enough? No. If I had 5, would that be enough? The answer is no, because I would still have a fraction that still won't be enough. We need to make sure there is enough, so we're going to need a little extra. So instead of 5, because it's more than 5, it's 5 2/8. I would need to get 6 to make sure everything is good, and I have enough. So that's it. I hope that this helps. This is not the only video. I decided to do questions 1 through 10 today, and I'll do like another set. There's a total of 52 questions. Again, I would recommend you do the easy questions first and hard ones last. I'm writing the standard just in case you want to go and search these up. This is comparing numbers, and this is going to be multiplying a fraction with a whole number. Now, I'll show you another one because I do want you to understand how easy this kind of stuff is. I'll say, instead of that, I'll say, let's say, I'm trying to think. I'll say 11 times. So instead of 11. So again, that would still be the whole number. And you would rewrite your whole within a denominator of 1. So automatically know that's really 11 over 1. And then you will multiply straight across. 11 and 6 is 66. 1 times 8 is 8. And you would say, how many times can 8 fit into 66? Again, we're making a mixed number. Our denominator still stays the same. 8 could fit into 66 8 times because 8 times 8 is 64. And so that would be a 2. 2 is left over. The answer is 8 and 2/8. Now the answer choice is not up here, obviously, but that means if I have 8 and more than 8, actually, if I were to shrink this, I could shrink this fraction. It would really be 8, and I could divide by 2 over 2 and get 1/4. So 8 and 1/4, which if I were to make that a decimal, if I had 1/4 out of 4, that's going to be 25 cents. So it's really 8.25. Now, if I were to think about it, if I just had 8, would that be enough? No, because I still got that 25% more that's left out. So to make sure I have it all, I would have to get a total of 9 jars. So I think you get the gist of what I'm saying. I hope this helps. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe because I'll be making more educational videos. I've heard some people to say that I talk too slow. You can put this on fast mode. They have different levels of speed on YouTube. Anyways, thank you for watching and have a spectacular, wonderful, beautiful day.